The pregnancy test wasn't mine. I found it wedged behind the bathroom trash can at 6:32 a.m. on a Tuesday, still in its wrapper but clearly used. Two pink lines screaming their truth into the morning light. My wife Rebecca and I had been trying for 3 years with no success. 3 years of fertility specialists, hormone treatments, and monthly disappointments that had carved deep trenches between us. But this test was positive, and I'd had a vasectomy reversal that failed 8 months ago. My hands went numb. The test clattered into the sink. I gripped the porcelain edge, staring at my reflection in the mirror. 34 years old, software engineer. Decent guy who did everything right. The face looking back at me was already different. Already new. "Babe?" Rebecca's voice drifted from the bedroom. "You okay in there?" I picked up the test with shaking fingers and walked out. She was sitting up in bed, her auburn hair messy against the pillows, wearing one of my old college shirts. Beautiful. A stranger. "What's this?" I held it up. The color drained from her face so fast I thought she might pass out. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. That's... Where did you... Behind the trash can." My voice sounded calm, distant, like it belonged to someone else. "When were you planning to tell me?" "Tyler, please, I can explain. Are you pregnant?" The silence stretched between us like a chasm. She pulled the blanket up to her chest, a defensive gesture I'd never seen before. "Yes?" The word hit me like a physical blow. I sat down on the edge of the bed because my legs wouldn't hold me anymore. "How far along?" 11 weeks. 11 weeks. I did the math automatically, my programmer's brain calculating dates and timelines, even as my heart was shattering. That would have been late March, the week I'd been in Austin for that conference. The week she'd said she was going to visit her sister in Portland. "Is it mine?" I already knew the answer, but I needed to hear her say it. She started crying. Not the delicate tears she used to get during sad movies, but ugly, gasping sobs that shook her whole body. "Tyler, I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. It was a mistake, just one time." "Is it mine?" "No." The word hung in the air between us. Final, irrevocable. I stood up, the test still in my hand. "Who?" "It doesn't matter." "Who?" "Jordan, okay? Jordan from the gym." She was full-on crying now, mascara from yesterday running down her cheeks. "It happened once, I swear, just once, and I've been sick about it ever since." Jordan, the personal trainer she'd been working with for the past 6 months. The one she'd mentioned constantly over dinner. Jordan says I should increase my protein. Jordan thinks I'm making real progress. Jordan is so motivating. I'd been happy she'd found something that made her feel good about herself after all the fertility disappointments. I laughed. Actually laughed. The sound came out wrong, jagged and bitter. "Tyler, please." She reached for me. I stepped back. "Don't touch me. We can work through this. We can go to counseling. I'll do whatever it takes." "You're pregnant with another man's baby." Each word came out sharp and clear. "There's no working through that. I'll terminate it. We can start over." "No." I headed for the door. "You don't get to make this go away that easily." "Where are you going?" "I don't know. Anywhere that's not here." I grabbed my wallet and keys from the dresser, my phone from the nightstand. Rebecca scrambled out of bed, following me down the hallway. "Tyler, wait! We need to talk about this." "Talk?" I spun around at the front door. "You want to talk? You've had 11 weeks to talk. You've had every single day since you slept with him to talk. How many times have you looked me in the eye and said you loved me?" How many times have we discussed trying IVF, spending our savings on another chance at having a baby while you were carrying his? I was scared. I didn't know what to do. You could have told me the truth. I yanked open the door. That would have been a start. Please don't leave like this. But I was already gone, the door slamming behind me with a finality that echoed through the quiet suburban street. It was barely 7 in the morning. Our neighbors' houses were just starting to wake up, lights flickering on, garage doors opening for the morning commute. Normal Tuesday morning in our normal neighborhood where normal people lived normal lives. I sat in my car in the driveway, gripping the steering wheel, the pregnancy test still clutched in my other hand. My phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca. Please come back inside. We need to talk about this like adults. Like adults. As if she hadn't just blown up our entire marriage, our entire life. I started the engine and backed out of the driveway, watching our house. The house we'd bought 3 years ago. The house we'd painted together. The house where we were supposed to raise our children, shrink in the rearview mirror. My phone kept buzzing. Call after call from Rebecca. I let them all go to voicemail. I drove without direction, muscle memory taking me through familiar streets while my mind raced. 11 weeks pregnant. With her personal trainer's baby. While we'd been scheduling another appointment with Dr. Patterson to discuss our options. While I'd been researching adoption agencies. While I'd been the faithful, devoted husband trying to save our marriage and our dream of having a family. What an idiot I'd been. The gym opens at 5 a.m. on weekdays. I know this because Rebecca used to complain about the early morning crowd, the way the regulars staked out their favorite equipment like territorial animals. She'd switched to afternoon sessions 6 months ago, right around the time she met Jordan. I'm parked across the street at 4:53 a.m., watching the lights flicker on inside the building. My hands grip the steering wheel, and I realize I've been sitting in this parking lot for 3 hours, ever since I left our house. The sky is still dark, but there's that quality to the air that says dawn is coming whether you're ready or not. A silver Honda pulls into the lot. The driver's door opens, and a man steps out. Tall, athletic build, dark hair pulled back in a small bun. He's wearing joggers and a fitted athletic shirt that shows exactly why Rebecca might have noticed him. He moves with that easy confidence of someone who's comfortable in their own body, who's never had to think about whether they measure up. Jordan. I know it's him before I even see the staff lanyard around his neck. Something in my chest tightens, a physical sensation like my ribs are compressing around my lungs. He unlocks the gym's front door and disappears inside. Through the windows, I watch him move through the space, turning on lights, checking equipment. Normal morning routine. Like he didn't destroy someone's entire life 11 weeks ago. I should leave. Drive to a hotel, call a lawyer, start making the practical decisions that need to be made. Instead, I find myself crossing the street, pulling open the gym door. The air inside smells like rubber and cleaning solution. Jordan looks up from behind the front desk, and his face shifts into that professional trainer smile. Morning. We don't officially open for another few minutes, but you're welcome to... Are you Jordan? The smile falters slightly. His eyes do a quick assessment, probably cataloging whether I'm a threat. I'm 5'10", average build, wearing yesterday's clothes. A software engineer who spends his days in front of screens. Not exactly intimidating. Yeah, that's me. Have we met? I'm Tyler. I watch his face, waiting for recognition. Rebecca's husband. The color doesn't drain from his face like it did from hers. Instead, he goes very still. A different kind of reaction. Controlled, measured, like he's been expecting this conversation. He sets down the clipboard he's holding. Look, man, did you know? What? That she's married. Did you know? He has the decency to look uncomfortable. Yeah, I knew. The honesty surprises me. I'd expected denial, excuses. And you didn't care? It's not. He stops, runs a hand over his face. It's complicated. She's pregnant. That gets a reaction. His eyes widen, genuine shock crossing his features. What? 11 weeks, which means it happened around the time she told me she was visiting her sister in Portland. I hear my voice, calm and distant again. That same detachment from yesterday. Except she wasn't in Portland, was she? Jordan leans back against the desk. For a moment, he looks almost as tired as I feel. She told me you guys had an arrangement, that you were separated, working through a divorce, that she just hadn't moved out yet because of the house. I laugh. The sound comes out harsh, bitter. We've been trying to have a baby for 3 years. I had a vasectomy reversal 8 months ago. We were about to start IVF. Each sentence lands like a punch. Does that sound like we were separated? Jesus! He sits down heavily on the desk chair. She told me you were basically roommates, that the marriage was over, you just hadn't made it official yet. And you believed her? His jaw tightens. Why wouldn't I? People get separated all the time. She seemed. He stops himself. Seemed what? Lonely. Sad. Like she needed someone to see her. He looks up at me. I'm not trying to justify anything. I'm just telling you what she told me. The fluorescent lights hum overhead. Outside, the sky is starting to lighten. That pre-dawn gray that makes everything look washed out and unreal. How long? I ask. What? How long were you sleeping with my wife? He winces at the phrasing. We weren't together long. Maybe 2 months. It ended about 6 weeks ago. The timeline slots into place in my head. 2 months of an affair. Ended 6 weeks ago, right around the time she would have found out she was pregnant. She broke it off? Yeah. Said she'd made a mistake, that she needed to focus on her marriage. A bitter smile crosses his face. I guess that part was true, at least. Did she tell you why? That she was pregnant? No. She just said it was over and asked me not to contact her again. He stands up, walks to the window. I thought maybe you'd found out. That she was trying to save her marriage. She was trying to pass your baby off as mine. He turns back to me, and I see something in his expression. Guilt, maybe, or disgust. That's messed up. Yeah. We stand there in silence. The absurdity of the moment isn't lost on me. 2 men who've never met, connected only by the woman who lied to both of us, standing in an empty gym at dawn trying to piece together the truth. What are you going to do? Jordan asks. I don't know. The honesty surprises me. Divorce her, obviously. Beyond that, I trail off. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. If I'd had any idea she was lying about the separation, he shakes his head. I wouldn't have touched her. I want to hate him. It would be easier if I could focus all this rage on him, make him the villain in this story. But looking at him now, I see someone who got played just like I did. Maybe not to the same degree, but played nonetheless. She's good at it, I say. The lying. I believed her about Portland, about the meditation classes she supposedly started teaching 2 months ago. Jordan's head snaps up. Meditation classes? Yeah, Tuesday and Thursday evenings. Why? She wasn't teaching meditation. He looks uncomfortable again. She was going to these spiritual retreat things, kept trying to get me to come with her, said it would be good for my chakras or some nonsense like that. Something cold slides down my spine. What kind of retreats? Some group her friend runs. She got really into it, started talking about energy healing and finding her true self. It was part of why I backed off, honestly. She got kind of intense about it. Her friend? Some guy named Elijah. Calls himself a spiritual guide or guru or something. Jordan pulls out his phone, scrolls through it. She sent me the website once. Here. He turns the phone toward me. The website is sleek, professional. Lots of sunset imagery and flowing script. Awakening Path Spiritual Collective across the top. Below it, a photo of a man in his 40s, handsome in that aging hippie way, with long hair and intense eyes. Elijah Whitmore, founder and spiritual guide. She wanted you to come to these? Yeah, said it would help me connect with my authentic self, release my masculine trauma, whatever that means. He pockets his phone. I looked into it a little. Seemed like standard New Age stuff, but some of the reviews online were weird. People talking about how life-changing it was, how Elijah helped them see the truth. Very culty language. My phone buzzes in my pocket. I pull it out. Another text from Rebecca. The 20th since I left yesterday. Tyler, please. We need to talk. I can explain everything. I stare at the message. Meditation classes, spiritual retreats, a guru named Elijah. Another lie, or maybe just another layer of the same lie. Can you send me that website? I ask Jordan. He nods, and a moment later my phone buzzes with the link. You think there's something wrong with it? I think my wife has been lying about a lot of things. I head toward the door, then stop. The baby. Do you want... Are you going to... I don't know, he says quietly. That's between her and me, I guess. If she even keeps it. The Awakening Path website leads me down a rabbit hole that gets darker with each click. At first glance, it's polished, professional. Testimonials from people with tears in their eyes talking about finding their authentic truth. Videos of group meditation sessions in a converted barn somewhere upstate. Elijah Whitmore's bio describes him as a spiritual facilitator who studied with masters in Tibet, India, Peru, the greatest hits of Western spiritual tourism. But the deeper I dig, the more the facade cracks. I find a Reddit thread from 8 months ago. Has anyone heard of Awakening Path? My sister won't stop talking about it, and now she's asking for money. Another from 6 months back. Red flags with Elijah Whitmore. The comments paint a picture. Weekend retreats that turn into week-long stays. Followers encouraged to distance themselves from toxic family members who don't understand their journey. Mandatory energy exchange fees that keep increasing. And Elijah himself, charismatic, magnetic, with an unsettling focus on the female followers. One comment stops me cold. He does these private awakening sessions with women. My girlfriend came back from one completely different. Wouldn't tell me what happened. Just kept saying I needed to trust the process or leave. She left him 3 weeks later. Moved into the compound full-time. I sit back from my laptop. It's past midnight. I've been at this for 5 hours, cross-referencing names, finding Facebook profiles of people who've attended retreats, reading testimonials that all use the same strange language about shedding false selves and embracing divine truth. Rebecca's been going to these things for 6 months, maybe longer. I pull up our bank statements again, searching with new eyes. There, $500 to Awakening Path Wellness 4 months ago. Another $750 3 months back. Last month, $200. She told me it was for a yoga teacher certification. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. This is Valerie Kim. Jordan gave me your info. Can we talk? I stare at the message. Jordan mentioned her, the woman who tried to warn him about awakening path. Yes, I type back. When? Now? I'm a night owl. Can meet at the diner on Route 9. 20 minutes later, I'm sliding into a booth across from a woman in her late 20s with dark circles under her eyes and a nervous energy that fills the space between us. She's already ordered coffee. The cup shakes slightly when she lifts it. Jordan said your wife is involved with them, she says without preamble. Rebecca. Yeah. How long? 6 months that I know of. Maybe more. Valerie nods like this confirms something. My sister Emily went to her first retreat a year ago. Just a weekend thing. She came back talking about how Elijah could see people's true souls, how he'd helped her understand why her life felt empty. She pauses. Emily's a nurse. Was a nurse. Smart. Grounded. Not the type to fall for bullshit. What happened? She went back. And back. Started using their language. Everything was about authentic truth and divine purpose. Stopped seeing her friends. Stopped calling our parents. By month 3, she'd moved into the compound. There's a compound? Upstate, near Woodstock. Old farm property. Elijah bought it 2 years ago. Valerie pulls out her phone, shows me photos. A sprawling farmhouse, several outbuildings, a barn. People in white clothes doing yoga on the lawn. He calls it the sanctuary. About 20 people live there full-time now. Another 50 or 60 come for weekend retreats. I study the photos. Looking for Rebecca. Don't see her. Emily's been there 7 months, Valerie continues. She quit her job, gave them her savings, about $30,000. When I visited last month, she trails off, staring into her coffee. Wrong. Too thin. This look in her eyes like she was somewhere else. And the way she talked about Elijah, like he was God. Did she say what happens there? Some of it. The meditation, the workshops, the communal meals. All the surface stuff. Valerie's hands tighten around her cup. But there are these private sessions. Awakening ceremonies, they call them. Only for the inner circle. Only for the women Elijah chooses. Emily wouldn't talk about them. Just said they were sacred. That I wouldn't understand unless I was ready to shed my ego. The waitress refills our coffee. We wait until she leaves. I think he's sleeping with them, Valerie says quietly. All of them. The chosen ones. Convincing them it's spiritual, that it's part of their awakening. Emily had this mark on her collarbone when I saw her, like a hickey. When I asked about it, she said Elijah had opened her heart chakra. My stomach turns. I think about Rebecca at these retreats. Rebecca in private sessions with this man. Rebecca coming home and climbing into bed beside me. Have you gone to the police? Emily's an adult. She says she's there voluntarily. The police say unless there's evidence of a crime, there's nothing they can do. Valerie's voice hardens. But I know my sister. This isn't her. He's done something to her. To all of them. What about the other families? Most don't know where their daughters, sisters, wives are. The followers are told to limit contact with the outside world. Protect their energy from people who don't understand. She pulls out a folder, slides it across the table. I've been documenting everything, talking to other families. There are at least 15 women living there full-time. More who attend regularly but haven't moved in yet. I opened the folder. Photos, printed emails, bank statements, testimonials copied from the website. A list of names with notes beside each one. One name jumps out. Rebecca Marsh. Valerie's written, attending since March, recruiting actively, possible inner circle candidate. You knew about Rebecca? I've been tracking everyone I can identify, trying to build a case, find a pattern. Rebecca's name came up in the testimonial section about 2 months ago. Then I saw her at a public meditation session they held downtown. Valerie taps the folder. She's in deep. The way she talked about Elijah, the way she looked at him. I've seen it before. She's one of the chosen ones. The coffee tastes like ash. I push the cup away. There's a retreat this weekend, Valerie says. Friday through Sunday. Emily mentioned it last time we talked. Said it was going to be transformative, that Elijah was planning something special. Rebecca told me she'd be at a meditation workshop this weekend. She'll be there then. Valerie leans forward. I'm going. I signed up for the retreat 2 weeks ago under a fake name, paid the $800 fee. I'm going to document everything I can, try to talk to Emily, get proof of what's really happening. That's dangerous. I don't care. Emily's my sister. Her eyes meet mine, hard and determined. But I could use help. Someone on the outside who knows I'm there. Someone who can call for help if something goes wrong. I think about Rebecca. About 6 months of lies. About $2,450 in yoga certification fees. About private awakening ceremonies and marks that look like hickeys. About Elijah Whitmore's hands on my wife. I'm coming with you, I say. Valerie shakes her head. They won't let you in. You're not registered and they vet everyone. Plus they know what you look like. Rebecca's probably shown them photos. Then I'll stay nearby. Keep watch. You can text me updates. Cell service is spotty up there, and they collect phones during retreats. Digital detox policy. Then we set up check-in times. You find a way to signal me. If I don't hear from you by a certain time, I call the police. She studies me for a long moment. You really want to know what your wife's been doing there? I really want to stop whatever the hell this is. Valerie nods slowly. Okay. But you need to understand. What we find might be worse than you're imagining. These people, they're not just attending meditation classes. They're being manipulated, controlled. If Elijah is what I think he is, what do you think he is? A predator, she says simply. One who's built the perfect hunting ground. The Willow Creek Retreat Center sits 40 miles north of the city, tucked into rolling hills that probably looked peaceful before I knew what happened inside. I park my Honda 3 properties down, in the gravel lot of an abandoned roadside stand, and watch Valerie's silver Camry pull into the retreat center's driveway at exactly 4:47 p.m. Friday afternoon. Golden light slanting through pine trees. The kind of evening that should feel tranquil. My phone buzzes with her text. I'm in. Stay close. The retreat center is a converted farmhouse. White clapboard, wraparound porch, flower boxes that probably photograph beautifully for their website. A barn sits behind it, painted the same pristine white. Beyond that, I can see what looks like individual cabins scattered among the trees. Pastoral. Welcoming. Exactly the kind of place that makes vulnerable people feel safe. I've got a backpack with my laptop, 2 backup batteries for my phone, granola bars, and water bottles. The kind of supplies that feel ridiculous until you need them. My phone is set to record at a tap. Video feed uploading continuously to cloud storage. Valerie has an identical setup, plus a small camera disguised as a button on her jacket. We'd spent 3 days planning this. Valerie registered under a fake name, Michelle Parker, claiming she was recovering from a painful divorce and searching for spiritual guidance. The kind of story Elijah apparently loves. She paid the $850 weekend fee with a prepaid card. I'm her safety net, her extraction plan if things go wrong. My hands are steady on the steering wheel. That surprises me. I expected nerves, but instead I feel the same cold focus that descended when I confronted Jordan. Purpose stripped of everything else. Rebecca doesn't know I'm here. She thinks I'm at a work conference in Denver. We've barely spoken since our conversation in the lawyer's office. Just logistics about the house, about her moving out, about the pregnancy she's still carrying. She hasn't been back to any Awakening Path events since I confronted her. At least, not that I can track. But I'd found 3 more payments in her bank records, going back 7 months. $2,450 was just the most recent. Total, $800 to Elijah Whitmore's operation. $8,000 for what exactly? That's what I'm here to find out. The first hour passes slowly. I watch cars arrive, mostly women, a few men. They park and walk toward the farmhouse carrying overnight bags, faces hopeful or desperate or somewhere in between. I recognize the expression. The same look Rebecca had when she'd first mentioned her meditation classes. Like she'd found something that might finally fix whatever felt broken. Valerie texts at 6:15. Opening session. About 30 people. Elijah doing welcome talk. Lots of love bombing, personal attention. Will update after dinner. I eat a granola bar that tastes like cardboard and watch the sun set behind the hills. At 8:33, my phone rings. Unknown number. I almost don't answer, but something makes me tap the screen. Tyler? The voice is female, young, shaking. Tyler Roberts? My blood goes cold. Who is this? Emily. Emily Kim, Valerie's sister. A breath, ragged. She told me you might be nearby. We need help, tonight. I sit up straight. Where are you? The compound. The main one, not the retreat center. About 2 miles east. Her voice drops to a whisper. Valerie doesn't know I'm here. I saw her arrive and I couldn't let her go through with it. What Elijah does during the private ceremonies. She can't. Emily, slow down. Are you safe right now? I'm in the bathroom. I have maybe 5 minutes before someone notices. Words tumbling out fast. There are 6 of us living here full-time. Elijah calls us his devoted circle. He says we're special, that we've achieved higher consciousness, but it's... Her voice cracks. He rotates through us. Different women, different nights. Calls it sacred union. Says our bodies are vessels for divine energy, and he's the conduit. My stomach turns. Emily, Rebecca's here. The world stops. What? Rebecca, your wife. She's been coming to the compound for private sessions with Elijah for months. She's here right now, in his private quarters. I saw her arrive this afternoon. I can't breathe. Can't think. Rebecca told me she hadn't been back. She'd promised. But of course she lied. She's been lying for months. Why would she stop now? Tyler, listen. Emily's voice sharpens with urgency. Tonight's retreat is a recruitment event. Elijah will do his welcome talk, build trust, make everyone feel seen and special. Then tomorrow he'll identify the most vulnerable attendees and invite them to advanced awakening sessions. That's when it starts. Private ceremonies, isolation from the group, psychological manipulation until they don't know how to say no. Valerie will be a target. She fits his profile perfectly. Attractive, emotionally wounded, financially stable. He'll love bomb her tomorrow, and by Sunday she'll be signing up for private sessions. A sound in the background. Footsteps, maybe. Emily's whisper becomes nearly inaudible. I have to go. The compound is 2.3 miles east on Willow Creek Road. White gate with an intercom. I'll try to get Rebecca out, but the line goes dead. I stare at my phone, pulse hammering in my ears. Rebecca's there. Right now. At Elijah's compound, in his private quarters. Doing what? I don't want to imagine, but the images come anyway. Rebecca with Elijah. Rebecca believing his manipulation, his claims of divine purpose. Rebecca so desperate for meaning or escape or whatever the hell she's searching for that she'd give herself to a predator wearing spiritual robes. The baby. Is it even Jordan's? Or had she been sleeping with Elijah too, adding another layer to the lies? My hands shake now, the cold focus cracking. I text Valerie. Emily just called me. She's at the main compound. Says Rebecca's there too. We need to move tonight. 3 dots appear. Disappear. Appear again. Can't leave without raising suspicion. They're watching everyone. Elijah just announced special midnight ceremony for those ready to deepen their journey. Voluntary but heavily pressured. I'm going to attend, get footage. Too dangerous. This is why I'm here. Emily's been trapped 7 months. If we don't get evidence tonight, he'll just move locations, change names, start over somewhere else. These men always do. She's right. I know she's right. But every instinct screams at me to go in there, to pull her out along with Rebecca and Emily and anyone else caught in Elijah's web. I'm going to the compound, I text back. Going to try to get Emily and Rebecca out. Tyler, no. If he sees you, he won't. I'm just going to observe, same as you, get eyes on the situation. A lie. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but observation isn't it. I start the car. Willow Creek Road is narrow and dark, lined with trees that block most of the moonlight. My headlights catch the white gate at exactly 2.3 miles. Wrought iron, expensive looking, with a camera and intercom system mounted on a stone pillar. I drive past without slowing, looking for another access point. A quarter-mile down, I find a dirt service road that looks like it might curve back toward the property. I pull in, kill the lights, and sit in darkness while my eyes adjust. The property line is marked by a simple wire fence, easy enough to cross. Through the trees I can see lights, the main house probably, and several smaller structures. I grab my phone, make sure it's recording, and step out into the night. The fence gives easily under my weight. I'm over it in seconds, moving through underbrush as quietly as I can manage. My programmer's body isn't built for this. I'm breathing hard within minutes, but adrenaline carries me forward. Voices drift through the trees. I freeze, crouching behind a thick pine. 2 people walking a path about 30 yards ahead. I can't make out words, but one voice is male, deep and resonant. The other female, higher, laughing at something he said. They pass. I wait another minute, then continue toward the lights. The main house is larger than I expected. A sprawling ranch-style building with floor-to-ceiling windows across the back. Most are lit from within, curtains open. I can see into what looks like a large common room. People moving around. Maybe a dozen of them. I work my way closer, staying in the tree line, until I'm near enough to see faces. And there she is. Rebecca. Standing near a fireplace, talking to a man I recognize from the Awakening Path website photos. Elijah Whitmore. Tall, maybe 45, with silver-streaked dark hair pulled into a small knot at the base of his skull, wearing linen pants and a loose white shirt. Handsome in that carefully cultivated way, the kind of looks that photograph well and inspire trust. His hand rests on Rebecca's lower back. Possessive. Familiar. She's smiling up at him. The same smile she used to give me. My vision narrows to that single point of contact. His hand, her back, the casual intimacy of it. How long? How many times? How many lies? I pull out my phone, zoom in, start recording. Evidence. That's why I'm here. Evidence to destroy him. But all I can see is his hand on my wife's back, and the way she leans into his touch like it's the most natural thing in the world. I'm crouched behind the woodshed, watching Rebecca and Elijah through the window. The phone in my pocket vibrates. I pull it out carefully, keeping low. Valerie. Emily says they're gathering everyone in main hall in 10 min for evening ceremony. Your wife still inside? Me. Yes, with him. Private quarters. Valerie. We need to move now. Emily says ceremonies are when he does worst manipulation. Records everything for blackmail. My hands shake as I type back, what's the plan? Valerie. Creating distraction. Fire alarm in kitchen building. When everyone evacuates, Emily grabs whoever she can from private quarters. You get Rebecca out. Meet at the tree line behind parking lot. It's risky, chaotic. 1,000 things could go wrong. Me. How long do I have? Valerie. 5 minutes. Be ready. I pocket the phone and shift position, trying to get a better angle on the room. Rebecca has moved away from the window now. I can see Elijah's back as he opens what looks like a cabinet or closet. He pulls out a video camera on a tripod. My stomach drops. He's setting it up, positioning it to face the bed. Rebecca says something I can't hear. Elijah responds, gesturing to the camera, then to her. Even from this distance, I can see her hesitate. Her body language shifts, arms crossing, head tilting down. He approaches her, places his hands on her shoulders, leans in close, speaking directly into her ear. Her arms uncross. She nods. The fire alarm shatters the evening quiet. It's not a gentle beeping, it's a shrieking industrial wail that echoes across the compound. Through the window, I see Elijah's head snap toward the door. He says something sharp to Rebecca, then strides out of the room. Rebecca stands there, frozen, staring at the camera. Move. Come on, Rebecca, move. She doesn't. The main hall doors burst open. People stream out. 20, 30, maybe 40 followers in various states of evening dress. Some in robes, some in regular clothes. All confused, looking around for smoke or flames. Elijah emerges from the private quarters building, his white linen shirt billowing as he walks with deliberate calm toward the crowd. Playing the serene leader even now. Everyone remain calm, his voice carries across the compound. This is likely a malfunction. Please gather by the meditation garden while we investigate. I scan the crowd for Valerie. There, near the kitchen building, wearing a simple gray dress that helps her blend with the other followers. She's moving toward the private quarters, casual but purposeful. Emily appears beside her. Younger, thinner, with the same sharp features as her sister. They exchange a brief glance, then split up. Valerie heads toward the main building. Emily angles toward the private quarters. My cue. I move from behind the woodshed, keeping to the shadows along the building's edge. The window to Elijah's room is about 8 feet up. Too high to reach, but there's a door around the side, the one he exited from. It's unlocked. The interior hallway is narrow, dimly lit by wall sconces that give everything a warm, golden glow. Designed to feel spiritual and calming. Right now, it just feels claustrophobic. 3 doors line the hallway. 2 are closed. One, the middle one, is ajar. I push it open. Rebecca spins around, eyes wide. Tyler? We're leaving, now. What are you can't be here. She looks toward the window, toward the door, panic spreading across her face. If Elijah finds you, I don't care what Elijah does. I step into the room, taking in details my brain automatically catalogs. The video camera, still recording a blinking red light. The bed with its white linens. The incense burning in the corner. The photographs on the wall, Elijah with various followers, all women, all gazing at him with worship in their eyes. Rebecca's in several of them. Tyler, you don't understand. Then help me understand. I gesture to the camera. What were you about to do? Her face crumbles. It's part of the awakening process, the sacred union ceremony. It's about transcending physical attachment and he was going to have sex with you on camera. She flinches at the bluntness. It's not sex. It's a spiritual... Rebecca. My voice comes out harder than I intend. Listen to yourself. The fire alarm cuts off abruptly. In the sudden silence, I hear voices outside. Elijah's among them, reassuring his followers. We have maybe 2 minutes, I say. There's a woman here, Emily Kim. Her sister came to get her out. They're helping other people escape right now. We need to go with them. I'm not escaping. This is my choice. Is it? I point to the camera. Did you choose to be recorded? Or did he convince you it was necessary? Did you choose to give him money? Or did he tell you it was an investment in your spiritual growth? Her mouth opens, closes. How much have you given him, Rebecca? It's not about money. How much? 12,000. Her voice is barely a whisper. From my inheritance. But it was for the retreat center expansion, for helping more people find their path. $12,000. The number sits between us like a physical thing. To a man who's about to film himself sleeping with you. You're twisting it. You always do this. You take things and make them ugly when they're beautiful. Is the baby his? The question stops her cold. Is the baby his? I don't know. Tears spill down her cheeks. It could be Jordan's. It could be the timing. I don't know, Tyler. I don't know. Footsteps in the hallway. I grab Rebecca's wrist. We're leaving. Now. You can hate me later, but we're getting out of here. I can't. My things. Leave them. The door opens. Emily stands there, another woman beside her. Older, maybe 50, with gray-streaked hair and hollow eyes. Is she coming? Emily asks me. Yes. No. Rebecca tries to pull away. Rebecca. The older woman speaks, her voice raspy. I've been here 3 years. I gave him everything, my savings, my house. My daughter won't speak to me anymore. She steps forward. He filmed me too. Told me it was sacred. Then he used the footage to keep me quiet when I tried to leave. Rebecca stares at her. Sarah? You know what he does with the recordings, Sarah continues. He shows them to new followers, tells them it's what enlightenment looks like, uses them to normalize what he wants to do to them. That's not... Elijah wouldn't... I've seen the files, Rebecca, dozens of them. Women who thought they were special, who thought they were chosen. Sarah's voice breaks. We all thought we were different. More footsteps. Multiple people this time. Back exit, Emily hisses. Now. We move. I keep hold of Rebecca's wrist as Emily leads us down the hallway in the opposite direction. Sarah follows, then 2 more women I don't recognize emerge from other rooms, joining our escape. The back door opens to a narrow path between buildings. We can hear Elijah's voice from the front of the compound. False alarm, but let's use this as an opportunity to practice our emergency protocols. Emily sets a fast pace, leading us away from the main buildings toward a section of fence I hadn't noticed before. There's a gap. Not large, but enough for a person to squeeze through if they're motivated. Valerie appears from the shadows. 6? We got 6? Plus Tyler, Emily confirms. Anyone else? Mara's bringing 3 more. That's everyone who was ready to leave. Rebecca is crying silently now, letting me pull her along. The fight has gone out of her, replaced by something that looks like shock. We reach the fence. Emily goes through first, then helps Sarah. The other women follow. Rebecca. I turn her to face me. I need you to climb through. I don't understand what's happening. I know. But I need you to trust me right now. Can you do that? She looks at me. Really looks at me. For the first time since I found her with the pregnancy test. Her eyes are red, her face blotchy with tears, and she looks so lost it makes my chest ache despite everything. Okay, she whispers. I help her through the gap. Valerie takes her hand on the other side, guiding her toward the tree line where 3 more women are waiting with someone I assume is Mara. I'm halfway through the fence when I hear Elijah's voice. Closer now. Check the private quarters. Rebecca should still be... I don't wait to hear the rest. I'm through the fence and running. The compound's motion sensor lights blaze to life behind us as we run. 6 women, Valerie, and me, sprinting through the darkness toward the tree line where I'd parked the van. Emily leads the way despite her limp, her bare feet slapping against the gravel driveway. Keep moving, Valerie hisses. She's got her arm around a blonde woman who's sobbing too hard to see straight. Rebecca stumbles beside me. I catch her elbow without thinking, muscle memory from 3 years of marriage overriding everything else. She doesn't pull away. Behind us, voices erupt from the main house. Male voices. Elijah's rises above the others, sharp with fury. The van, I gasp. 200 yards. We hit the tree line as flashlight beams sweep across the driveway. The forest swallows us. Darkness so complete I can barely see Emily's white nightgown ahead. Branches whip my face. Someone cries out as they trip, but we don't stop. The van materializes between the trees. I'd backed it in, nose pointed toward the road. Thank God for programmer paranoia. Get in, now. I wrench open the sliding door. The women pile in, a tangle of limbs and ragged breathing. Valerie counts heads as I sprint to the driver's seat. 7 plus us, she calls. Go! The engine roars to life. I don't turn on the headlights until we're on the main road, tires screaming as I take the corner too fast. In the rearview mirror, flashlight beams dance through the trees behind us. Nobody speaks for the first 5 miles. Just breathing. Crying. The blonde woman Valerie helped is rocking back and forth, arms wrapped around herself. Emily sits with her hand on Rebecca's shoulder, murmuring something I can't hear. My hands are shaking on the steering wheel. The adrenaline is starting to fade, replaced by something that feels like vertigo. I just broke into a compound, extracted 7 people, committed about a dozen felonies. Where are we going? Rebecca's voice is small, broken. Safe house, Valerie says before I can answer. Friend of mine, she's expecting us. I glance at her in the mirror. She's already on her phone, typing rapidly. The police, one of the other women starts. Not yet, Valerie cuts her off. First we get you somewhere safe. Then we document everything. Then we go to the authorities with evidence they can't ignore. He has videos, Emily says quietly, of all of us. He'll use them. Let him try. Valerie's voice is steel. Revenge porn laws exist for a reason. And those videos? They're evidence of coercion and sexual assault. Rebecca makes a sound like a wounded animal. Her hand goes to her stomach. That unconscious gesture I've watched her make 1,000 times over the past week. I force my eyes back to the road. Focus on the white lines. The simple mechanics of driving. Not on the fact that my wife is sitting 10 feet behind me, pregnant with a cult leader's baby. Probably. Maybe Jordan's. Christ. Tyler. Emily leans forward between the seats. Her face is gaunt in the dashboard light, dark circles under her eyes. Thank you for coming back for them. I nod. Don't trust my voice. I told him about Rebecca, she continues. About the private sessions. I hoped you'd want to know. I did. The words come out rough. Thank you. He was going to film her tonight, the sacred union ceremony. That's what he calls it when she trails off. He always films the first time. For spiritual documentation. Really, it's so he can threaten you with it later if you try to leave. My jaw clenches so hard my teeth ache. How many videos does he have? Valerie asks. Dozens, maybe hundreds. He keeps them on a server in his office, password protected. But I saw him access it once. Emily's voice drops. I memorized the password. Valerie twists in her seat. You what? I knew I'd need leverage eventually, something to bargain with. The password is Ascension 2019, capital A, numbers at the end. That's when he started the collective, one of the other women says. She's older, maybe 45, with gray streaking through her dark hair. I was in the first group of followers, before he started the ceremonies. How long were you there? I ask. 2 years. Her voice is flat, exhausted. He took everything, my savings, my house, convinced me my family was spiritually toxic. I haven't spoken to my daughter in 18 months. The blonde woman lets out a fresh sob. I gave him $40,000. My divorce settlement. He said I needed to release material attachments. 60,000, another voice says from the back, plus my car, my jewelry, everything. The stories pour out. Financial exploitation, isolation from families, sleep deprivation disguised as spiritual fasting. And the ceremonies, Elijah's private sessions where he convinced vulnerable women that sex with him was the path to enlightenment. I drive and listen. Calculate. By the time we pull into the driveway of Valerie's friend's house, a ranch-style home in a quiet suburb 40 minutes from the compound, I'm running numbers in my head. 7 women. Potentially hundreds of thousands in theft. Multiple counts of sexual assault, coercion, blackmail. The friend who answers the door is a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. She doesn't ask questions, just ushers everyone inside and starts making tea. Bathrooms down the hall, she tells the group. There's clothes in the spare bedrooms. Help yourselves. You're safe here. The women scatter. Emily limps toward the bathroom. The blonde woman collapses onto the couch and stares at nothing. Rebecca stands in the middle of the living room, lost. She's still wearing the white nightgown they gave her at the compound. Her auburn hair is tangled around her shoulders. She looks at me, and for a second I see the woman I married. Scared. Vulnerable. Human. Then I remember the pregnancy test. Jordan. Elijah. The lies that brought us here. I look away. I'll make a supply run, I tell Valerie. Food. Basics. What do you need? She rattles off a list. I write it in my phone, grateful for the excuse to leave. Tyler. Rebecca's voice stops me at the door. Can we talk? Not now. Please, I need to explain. Not now. I don't look at her. Can't. We need to focus on building a case against Elijah. Everything else, later. I walk out before she can respond. The grocery store is surreal. Fluorescent lights, music, people buying milk and bread like the world hasn't just tilted sideways. I fill a cart with sandwich supplies, toiletries, bottled water. Move through the aisles on autopilot. My phone buzzes. Valerie. Emily's writing everything down. Dates, names, amounts. The others are too. We're going to have a paper trail he can't deny. I text back, good. I'll be back in 20. Another buzz, different number. Unknown. You made a mistake tonight, Tyler. Those women belong to me. They came to me willingly. They're on a spiritual journey you couldn't possibly understand. My blood goes cold. I stare at the screen. You've stolen from me, interfered with my sacred work. There will be consequences. Then, Rebecca was so close to her awakening. She would have been magnificent. The ceremony would have freed her from all the guilt and shame she carried about betraying you. I was giving her absolution. My hand tightens around the phone. I want to throw it, smash it. Instead, I screenshot the messages. Tell Rebecca I'll be waiting when she comes back to me. They always come back. I forward everything to Valerie, then block the number. My hands are shaking again. He's not getting her back. None of them. I don't know what Rebecca and I are anymore, if we're anything, but I'll be damned if I let Elijah Whitmore have one more second of power over her. I finish shopping. Pay. Drive back to the safe house with my jaw clenched and my mind racing. When I walk in, Valerie meets me at the door. Her expression is grim. Elijah's been texting the women, all of them. Threats mixed with love bombing, telling them they're lost without him. I got messages too. I show her my phone. He's panicking. Good. Means we rattled him. She glances toward the living room. Emily accessed his server remotely. She's downloading everything right now. How? Turns out our cult leader isn't as tech-savvy as he thinks. He uses the same password for everything. A grim smile. We'll have every video, every financial record, every piece of evidence we need by morning. Then what? Then we go to the FBI. Not local police. This crosses state lines. He's been recruiting online, moving money through multiple accounts. It's a federal case. I nod. Set the groceries on the counter. Tyler. Valerie's voice softens. Rebecca asked if you'd talk to her. She's in the back bedroom. You don't have to forgive her. You don't have to fix anything. But she's terrified. And whether you like it or not, you're the only person here she has any connection to. I close my eyes. 5 minutes. That's all she's asking. I find Rebecca sitting on the edge of a twin bed, wearing borrowed sweatpants and a t-shirt. She's been crying. Her eyes are red and swollen. Tyler, 5 minutes, I say. Then I'm done for tonight. She nods, swallows hard. I'm sorry. I know that's not enough. I know nothing I say will ever be enough. But I'm sorry. I lean against the doorframe. Wait. Elijah. He made me feel like I mattered, like I was special. After all the fertility treatments failed, after I felt like such a failure as a wife, he told me I was perfect exactly as I was. Her voice cracks. I was so stupid. You weren't stupid. You were manipulated. Both can be true. I can't argue with that. The baby, she starts. Not tonight, Rebecca. I can't. Not tonight. She nods, wipes her eyes. What happens now? Now we make sure Elijah never does this to anyone else. And after? I look at her. Really look at her. The woman I loved. The stranger who betrayed me. The victim who needs help. All of them true at once. I don't know, I say honestly. But first things first. The safe house smells like stale coffee and fear. 3 FBI agents in windbreakers crowd Valerie's cramped living room, laptops open on the dining table, recording equipment scattered across every surface. Emily sits on the couch, blanket wrapped around her shoulders despite the warmth, fingers trembling as she types the password into Elijah's server. I stand by the window, watching the street. Can't help it. Every car that passes makes my pulse spike. Got it, Emily says. Her voice is hoarse. She hasn't stopped shaking since we pulled her from that compound. I'm in. The lead agent, Agent Torres, mid-40s with graying temples, leans over her shoulder. His face goes rigid as the screen populates with folders. Hundreds of them, each labeled with a woman's first name and a date. Jesus Christ, he mutters. I don't look. Can't. Because somewhere in those folders is Rebecca. Rebecca, who's currently in the bedroom down the hall, refusing to come out. Rebecca, who's 11 weeks pregnant with a baby that might belong to a cult leader who filmed women without consent. My phone buzzes. Jordan again? 5th call today. I silence it. Mr. Patterson. Torres straightens, gestures me over. We need to talk about your wife's statement. She gave you one already. A preliminary one. But given the nature of the evidence we're finding, he glances at the laptop screen, jaw tight. We're going to need more detail about the ceremonies, the timeline, everything. Through the wall, I hear water running. Rebecca in the bathroom. She's been in there 20 minutes. She's not ready, I say. With all due respect, we have a narrow window here. Whitmore knows people escaped. He's already contacting followers trying to control the narrative. Torres pulls out his phone, shows me a screenshot. It's from some private social media group. Elijah's face in soft focus, that same serene smile he wore when I saw him at the compound. Dear family, there are those who would seek to destroy our sacred work. They do not understand the path. They fear what they cannot comprehend. Stay strong. Stay faithful. The truth will prevail. 347 likes. 82 comments. All variations of "We believe in you" and "sending light." He's got a following outside the compound, Torres says. Donors, supporters, people who attend his public workshops. This is bigger than we initially thought. Valerie appears in the doorway, 2 mugs of coffee in her hands. She looks like she hasn't slept in days. Probably hasn't. Emily found the financial records too. Bank transfers, PayPal, Venmo. He's pulled in over $2 million in the last 18 months. The number hits like a fist. $2 million. Rebecca gave him $12,000. How many others? How many women paid for the privilege of being manipulated? Abused? We need names, Torres says. Everyone who attended these retreats. Everyone who donated. We're building a RICO case. Racketeering, fraud, sexual exploitation. But we need victims willing to testify. The bathroom door opens. Rebecca emerges, face pale, eyes red-rimmed. She's wearing clothes Valerie loaned her, sweatpants and a t-shirt that hang loose on her frame. Her hand rests on her stomach. Unconscious gesture. Protective. She sees us all staring and freezes. Rebecca, Torres's voice gentles. We found the videos. You don't have to describe what happened. We have visual evidence, but we need you to confirm dates, identify other women who were there. Help us build a timeline. She looks at me. Not Torres. Me. I don't know what she's searching for. Permission? Forgiveness? I've got neither to give. How many videos? She whispers. Torres hesitates. Of you specifically? 3. The color drains from her face. She sways. I move without thinking, catch her elbow, guide her to a chair. Old instincts, husband instincts. They don't shut off just because everything's broken. 3, she repeats. But I thought it was just the one ceremony, the one Tyler stopped. The cameras were hidden, Emily says from the couch. She won't look at Rebecca, won't look at any of the women from the compound currently scattered across the safe house in various states of shock. In the temple room, the private counseling office, even some of the bedrooms, he recorded everything. Rebecca's breathing goes shallow. Fast. I recognize the signs. Panic attack incoming. Paper bag, I tell Valerie. Kitchen, now. She runs. Torres crouches in front of Rebecca, professional concern on his face. Ms. Marsh. Roberts, Rebecca gasps. It's Roberts. I'm married. The present tense cuts. Still married. Still using my name. Like that means something after everything. Valerie returns with the bag. Rebecca breathes into it, eyes squeezed shut. I count her breaths. 10, 20, 30. Finally, they slow. I need to know, she says, lowering the bag. The videos. Will people see them? They're evidence, Torres says carefully. They'll be viewed by investigators, potentially by a jury, but they won't be made public. We'll fight any defense attempts to release them. But they exist. Her voice is flat. Dead. Forever. Somewhere. They exist. No one answers. Because it's true. Digital files never really disappear. My phone buzzes again. Not Jordan this time. Unknown number. I almost ignore it, then something makes me answer. Tyler Patterson? Speaking. This is Detective Ramirez, San Mateo PD. We met briefly at the compound during the initial response. I'm calling about Jordan Fisher. My hand tightens on the phone. What about him? He's here at the station. Showed up an hour ago. Says he has information about your wife's involvement with Elijah Whitmore. Claims he tried to warn her away from the group months ago. He's asking to speak with you. I look at Rebecca. She's watching me, that paper bag crumpled in her lap. Tell him no, I say. Mr. Patterson, he seems genuinely concerned. Tell him no, and tell him to stop calling me. I hang up. Rebecca's crying again. Silent tears tracking down her face. He did try to warn me. Back in March. He said Elijah gave him bad vibes. But I thought... She laughs, bitter and broken. I thought he was jealous. Jealous of my spiritual growth. Spiritual growth. The words taste like ash. We need to start the formal interview, Torres says. Rebecca, I know this is difficult, but every hour we delay gives Whitmore time to destroy evidence, intimidate witnesses. We have 7 women here willing to talk. But there are at least 40 more in those videos. We need to identify them, find them, make sure they're safe. 40 women. Minimum. I do the math automatically. Can't help it. Programmer's brain. $2 million divided by 40 women. 50,000 each. But Rebecca only gave 12. Which means some gave more. Much more. Start with the money, I say. Track the large donors. Anyone who gave over 20,000. Those are the true believers. The ones he'll have the most leverage over. Torres looks at me, reassessing. That's good thinking. I build data systems for a living. Pattern recognition. I turn to Emily. Can you export the financial records? Sort by amount, then by frequency. She nods, fingers already moving on the keyboard. Rebecca stands, unsteady. I'll do the interview, I'll tell you everything, but I need… She looks at me again. Can you be there? In the room? Every instinct screams no. Scream to get in my car and drive until I hit ocean. But I hear myself say, yeah, I'll be there. Because 40 women deserve justice. Because that baby, whoever's it is, deserves a mother who's not destroyed by shame and silence. Because somewhere in the wreckage of my marriage, there's still a person I used to love, and she's drowning. Torres sets up the recording equipment in Valerie's bedroom. 2 cameras, multiple angles, everything documented, everything preserved. Rebecca sits in the chair they've positioned in the center of the room. I stand against the wall, outside the camera's frame. Close enough to be present, far enough to maintain distance. State your full name for the record, Torres begins. Rebecca Ann Roberts. And you understand you're giving this statement voluntarily? Yes. Tell us how you first encountered Elijah Whitmore. She takes a breath, lets it out slow. Then she starts talking. I watch Rebecca through the one-way glass. She sits at a metal table in interview room 3, hands wrapped around a paper cup of water she hasn't touched. Agent Torres sits across from her, a laptop open between them, a digital recorder blinking red. Ready? Valerie asks beside me. I nod. I'm not ready, but I need to hear this. Torres leans forward. Rebecca, I want to start with how you first encountered Elijah Whitmore and the awakening path. Rebecca's voice comes through the speaker mounted above the glass. Thin, strained. I met him at a wellness expo last March. He was giving a talk about finding your authentic self. 9 months ago, while I was working 60-hour weeks on the hospital system migration. What drew you to attend his talk? Rebecca stops, swallows. We'd been trying to have a baby for 3 years. Tyler had the reversal surgery 8 months before that, and it didn't work. I felt broken. Like my body was failing at the one thing it was supposed to do. My hands curl into fists. I'd held her through so many nights of crying. Told her we'd figure it out together, that she wasn't broken. And Elijah's message resonated with you. He talked about how Western medicine treats symptoms but ignores the spiritual blockages that cause them. He said our bodies know how to heal themselves if we remove the barriers we've built through trauma and negative energy. She laughs, bitter. It sounds so stupid now. Torres doesn't react. What happened after the talk? He was doing free consultations. I signed up. We talked for maybe 20 minutes. He asked about my life, my marriage, my struggles. He really listened. Not like he was waiting for his turn to talk, but like he genuinely cared about understanding me. The Manipulation Playbook. Page 1. He told me I had deep-seated shame around my femininity, that I'd internalized patriarchal messages about my worth being tied to reproduction. He said until I released that shame and reconnected with my divine feminine essence, my body would continue to resist conception. Did he recommend the awakening path at that point? Not directly. He gave me his card and said if I wanted to explore these concepts deeper, he held weekly gatherings. No pressure, just a community of women supporting each other's healing journeys. Valerie makes a sound beside me. Disgust mixed with recognition. Torres types something. When did you attend your first gathering? 2 weeks later, it was at a yoga studio in Riverside. About 15 women. We sat in a circle, shared our struggles. Elijah guided us through meditation and breathing exercises. It felt safe, sacred even. Did anything inappropriate happen at that first gathering? No, nothing. We just talked and meditated. At the end, he offered individual healing sessions for anyone interested. Sliding scale payment. I signed up. What did these healing sessions involve? Rebecca's quiet for a long moment. At first, just talking. He'd ask about my childhood, my relationship with my parents, my marriage. He was building a profile, I realize now. Finding my vulnerabilities. When did the sessions change? Maybe the third or fourth one. He started incorporating touch. Hand on my shoulder while I talked about painful memories. Holding my hands during meditation. He called it grounding through sacred connection. My stomach turns. Torres keeps her voice neutral. Did he explain the purpose of this physical contact? He said trauma lives in the body. That talk therapy only addresses the mind. To release deep shame, especially around sexuality and femininity, required reconnecting with safe, non-judgmental touch. Did you feel uncomfortable? Yes. But he framed my discomfort as proof of how deep my shame ran. He said healing required pushing through resistance. That my discomfort was my wounded inner child protecting herself from the vulnerability she needed to heal. Classic predator logic. Your resistance is evidence you need this. When did you start attending the weekend retreats? June. He invited me personally. Said I'd made significant progress in our sessions but needed intensive work to achieve a breakthrough. The retreat was at his compound in the mountains, Friday evening through Sunday afternoon, cost $1,200. Valerie tenses beside me. That's when it started for Emily, too. Torres pulls up something on her laptop. What happened at this first retreat? There were 8 of us, all women. We spent Friday evening in group meditation and sharing circles. Saturday morning was yoga and more meditation. Everything felt legitimate, spiritual but not weird. When did that change? Saturday afternoon. Elijah introduced the concept of sacred union ceremonies. He said they were ancient practices for releasing sexual shame and reconnecting with our divine feminine power. He explained that in many spiritual traditions, enlightened teachers guide seekers through sexual awakening as part of their path. Torres types rapidly. Did he specify what these ceremonies would involve? Not explicitly. He said each woman's ceremony would be tailored to her specific needs and boundaries, that everything was consensual and sacred, that we could stop at any time if we felt uncomfortable. Did you participate in a ceremony that weekend? Rebecca nods. Her hands shake around the water cup. Sunday morning, in his private quarters. He had me undress and lie on a massage table. He burned sage and played meditation music. He touched me. Everywhere. Called it chakra alignment and energy work. He said my womb was blocked with shame and he needed to release it through direct contact. My vision blurs red at the edges. Did this involve sexual contact? Yes. He used his hands, then his mouth. He said orgasm was a spiritual release, that my body's response was proof the healing was working. Afterward, I felt confused. Violated, but also, I don't know, special? Chosen? He held me and told me I'd achieved a major breakthrough, that I was ready for the next level of work. Torres leans back. Did he have sexual intercourse with you during this ceremony? Not that time. He said I wasn't ready yet, that my shame was still too strong and penetrative union would re-traumatize me. He wanted to build up to it gradually. When did intercourse occur? The next retreat. July. He called it the Sacred Union Ceremony. He explained that his role as a spiritual teacher meant his sexual energy was purified and healing. That union with him would dissolve my remaining blockages and activate my fertility. I can't listen to this, but I can't look away. Did he use protection? No. He said barriers, physical or energetic, would block the healing transmission. That is, energy needed to enter my body directly to catalyze transformation. Taurus types. How many times did you have sexual contact with Elijah? Rebecca's voice breaks. I don't know. The retreats happen monthly. Sometimes he'd call me for private sessions between retreats. He said I needed additional support. I thought I was making progress. He kept saying I was so close to a breakthrough. When did you discover you were pregnant? 3 weeks ago. I took the test at home. I was terrified and excited and confused all at once. Did you know who the father was? She shakes her head. Jordan and I. That was one time. One stupid, impulsive mistake. I'd had a fight with Tyler about the fertility treatments. Jordan was kind and attentive, and I felt invisible in my own marriage. It just happened. When did this occur? Early October, maybe 6 weeks before I found out I was pregnant. Torres pulls up a calendar. And your last contact with Elijah? 2 weeks ago, the retreat where Tyler found me. Elijah said that night's ceremony would be the culmination of all our work. That he'd received a vision I was ready for the final activation. Did he mention recording these ceremonies? Rebecca's face crumples. No, never. He said everything that happened in sacred space stayed in sacred space. That documentation would profane the healing. I had no idea he was filming. We've recovered over 300 videos from his server. You appear in 7 of them. 7. Not 3. Rebecca's sob echoes through the speaker. I only knew about one, the night Tyler found me. I didn't know about the others. Torres slides a folder across the table. I need you to look at these timestamps and confirm whether you remember these dates. Rebecca opens the folder. Her hands tremble so hard the papers shake. She looks at the first page. Second. Third. These are all me, she whispers. I remember these retreats, but I didn't know. I swear I didn't know he was recording. Did Elijah ever discuss sharing or distributing these videos? No, God no. He talked about sacred confidentiality, about the teacher-student bond being inviolable. Torres pulls the folder back. We've identified 43 different women in the recovered videos. Some appear once. Others, like you, appear multiple times. We're working to identify and contact all of them. 43. Rebecca's voice is hollow. I thought I was special, that he chose me because I was different. That's how predators operate, Rebecca. They make each victim feel uniquely seen while running the same script on dozens of others. Silence stretches. Rebecca stares at her hands. Torres leans forward. I need to ask about the financial component. How much money did you give Elijah? 12,000. Maybe more. The retreats were 1,200 each. Private sessions were 200. He had a sustaining member program where you could donate monthly to support the community's mission. I gave 300 a month for that. Did your husband know about these expenses? No, I had my own account. Money from before we got married. I told him I was taking meditation classes, spending money on self-care. I'd encouraged it. Told her she deserved to invest in herself. Torres closes her laptop. Rebecca, I want to be clear about something. What Elijah did to you was not your fault. He's a skilled manipulator who exploited your vulnerability. The fact that you participated doesn't mean you consented in any meaningful way. Coercion doesn't always look like force. Rebecca nods, but her expression stays hollow. We're going to take a break. When we resume, I need you to walk me through every retreat you attended, every private session, every conversation you remember. The smallest details might be crucial for building our case. Torres stands, leaves the room. Rebecca sits alone at the metal table, staring at nothing. Valerie touches my arm. You okay? I'm not okay. I'm watching my wife describe being systematically abused by a predator who convinced her it was healing. I'm hearing her talk about the affair that might have created the baby she's carrying. I'm learning she spent $12,000 of her own money on a con artist who filmed her without consent. I need air, I say. I walk out of the observation room, down the hallway, through the lobby. Outside, the afternoon sun feels wrong. Too bright. Too normal. My phone buzzes. Unknown number. I should ignore it. But I don't. The text says, "Your wife told you everything, didn't she?" Poor Tyler. Did she mention how she begged for more? How she cried my name? The FBI has videos, but I have so much more. Talk to me, or everyone sees what a willing participant she really was. Elijah. The FBI arrested Elijah Whitmore on November 3rd. Federal marshals found him at a follower's house in Vermont, already planning his next spiritual retreat under a different name. He didn't resist, just smiled that serene smile and asked if he could meditate before they took him in. They said no. The trial lasted 6 weeks. 41 women testified, including Rebecca. I sat in the gallery every day, watching her walk to the stand in a dark blue dress, hands folded over the small bump that had become visible by then. She spoke clearly, methodically, describing each retreat, each ceremony, each manipulation technique Elijah had used. The defense attorney tried to paint them all as willing participants. The jury didn't buy it. Elijah got 23 years. Racketeering, fraud, sexual exploitation, coercion. The judge called him a predator who weaponized spirituality to abuse vulnerable women. He showed no emotion when they read the verdict. Just that same peaceful expression, like he was above it all. I hope prison breaks him. I'm not proud of that thought, but I'm done pretending to be better than I am. Rebecca moved out 3 weeks after the arrest. We'd been living in the same house, but different universes, me in the guest room, her in what used to be our bedroom. The divorce papers came in January. I signed them without reading past the first page. She had the baby in May. A girl. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Dark hair like Rebecca's. The paternity test said Jordan was the father. I don't know if that made it better or worse. Not Elijah's baby, at least. But still, the product of betrayal, of the night, Rebecca decided our marriage wasn't enough. Jordan stepped up. I'll give him that. He's on the birth certificate, pays child support, sees the baby every other weekend. Rebecca says he's trying, that he's working through his own guilt about the affair. I haven't met the baby. Rebecca asked if I wanted to. I said no. Maybe that makes me cruel. Maybe I should be bigger than this, able to separate an innocent child from the circumstances of her conception. But every time I imagine holding that baby, I see Rebecca with Jordan, Rebecca with Elijah, Rebecca lying to my face for months. Some wounds don't heal just because you want them to. Emily Kim moved back home. She's in therapy 3 times a week, rebuilding her relationship with her sister and parents. Last I heard, she'd enrolled in nursing school again. Valerie says she's doing okay. Not great, but okay. The other women scattered. Some testified and disappeared, wanting nothing more than to forget. Others joined a support group for cult survivors. A few wrote victim impact statements so raw, the judge had to take breaks while reading them. Sarah, the older woman who helped convince Rebecca to leave, started a nonprofit. Sanctuary Exposed, she calls it. They counsel people escaping high-control groups and help families identify warning signs. She asked me to speak at their first fundraiser. I declined. I've got nothing wise to say about any of this. Valerie got a book deal. Awakening to Abuse: How My Sister's Cult Captivity Led to a Predator's Downfall. It's doing well, apparently. I haven't read it. Can't stomach the idea of seeing Rebecca's story packaged as someone else's narrative, even if Valerie's heart is in the right place. The pregnancy test is still in my desk drawer. I don't know why I kept it. Evidence, maybe. Or punishment. A reminder that the life I thought I had was built on sand. I sold the house in March. Couldn't stand walking past the bathroom where I found that test. The bedroom where Rebecca cried and I believed her tears meant something. The new owners have a golden retriever and twin toddlers. I hope they're happy there. I hope the walls don't remember. I moved to Portland. New city, new job, new apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows and no memories. I date occasionally. Nothing serious. Women ask about my divorce and I give them the sanitized version. We wanted different things. They don't need to know about cults and affairs and babies that aren't mine. Sometimes I wonder if I should have fought harder for Rebecca. If I'd been more present, more attentive, maybe she wouldn't have been vulnerable to Elijah's manipulation. Maybe our marriage would have survived the fertility struggles. Then I remember the $12,000, the lies, the choice she made, again and again, to betray me while sleeping in our bed and planning our future. You can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. And you can't rebuild trust on a foundation of ashes. I saw Rebecca once after the divorce finalized. Random encounter at a coffee shop near the courthouse. She was pushing a stroller, the baby asleep inside. She looked tired. Older. Like the past year had carved years into her face. Tyler, she said. Just my name. Like a question and an apology and a goodbye all at once. Rebecca. We stood there in awkward silence. The barista called out orders. The espresso machine hissed. She's beautiful, Rebecca said, gesturing to the stroller. If you ever want to, I don't. She nodded. Blinked back tears. I'm sorry for everything. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I need you to know I'm sorry. I know you are. Do you... She stopped. Started again. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? I thought about it. Really thought about it. About the woman I married and the stranger she became. About the lies and the manipulation and the baby that wasn't mine. About the fact that she was a victim too, caught in a predator's web, but also the fact that she made choices, kept making them. I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe someday, but not today. She nodded again. That's fair. I left her standing there with her coffee and her stroller and her consequences. Walked out into the Portland rain and didn't look back. Here's what I learned. People are complicated. Victims can also be perpetrators. You can love someone and still need to walk away. Forgiveness isn't mandatory, and closure is a myth we tell ourselves to make endings feel neater than they are. I learned that trust, once shattered, doesn't reassemble into its original shape. You can glue the pieces back together, but the cracks remain. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself and the other person, is to acknowledge that what's broken should stay broken. I learned that some men disguise themselves as saviors while being destroyers. That vulnerability isn't weakness, but it can be weaponized by those who know how to exploit it. That the words sacred and spiritual and healing can be twisted into tools of abuse. Most importantly, I learned that you can survive things you thought would destroy you. The morning after I found that pregnancy test, I couldn't imagine a future that didn't include Rebecca. Couldn't picture my life without her in it. Now I have that life. It's not the one I planned. It's quieter, lonelier, built from scratch instead of inherited from dreams we shared. But it's mine. Honestly, mine. No lies, no manipulation, no wondering what's real and what's performance. Some days that's enough. Some days it has to be. The last time Elijah contacted me was from prison. A letter, handwritten on lined paper, postmarked from the federal facility in Lompoc. Tyler, you think you saved those women. You think you're a hero. But they came to me willingly. They stayed willingly. Rebecca stayed. She chose me, again and again, even when she had every opportunity to leave. You can't save someone from a choice they want to make. That's not rescue. That's kidnapping. I gave them something you never could: permission to be fully themselves, to embrace desire without shame, to transcend the small, suffocating boxes society builds around women's bodies and souls. You gave Rebecca a house and stability and the promise of children. I gave her freedom. She'll come back to me, they always do, because once you've tasted true liberation, suburban compromise tastes like ash. See you in 23 years. Elijah. I burned the letter. Didn't respond. Didn't give him the satisfaction. But sometimes, late at night when sleep won't come, I think about his words, about Rebecca's choices, about the fact that she kept going back, kept believing, kept participating even when some part of her must have known it was wrong. And I think about the 41 other women who made similar choices, who gave their money, their bodies, their trust to a man who saw them as resources to extract. Were they victims? Yes. Did they make choices? Also yes. Both things are true. That's the uncomfortable reality no one wants to acknowledge. Coercion exists on a spectrum. Free will isn't binary. And sometimes people choose their own destruction because it feels like freedom compared to the pain they're running from. I can't save Rebecca from herself. I can't rescue 41 women who might not want rescuing. I can't fix a broken system that creates the conditions for predators like Elijah to thrive. All I can do is save myself. Build a life that doesn't require lies to sustain it. Choose honesty over comfort, even when honesty carves pieces out of me. It's not heroic. It's not redemptive. It's just survival. And some days, survival is the only victory worth claiming. I'm 35 now, single, child-free, living in a city where no one knows my story. I write code, go to the gym, date occasionally, see a therapist every other week who helps me untangle the knot of anger and grief and betrayal that still lives in my chest. I'm not happy. Not yet. But I'm not drowning anymore either. That's progress. The pregnancy test is still in my drawer. One day I'll throw it away. One day I'll stop needing the reminder of what I survived. But not today. Today I just keep moving forward. One foot in front of the other. Building a life from honest pieces, even if it's smaller and lonelier than the one I imagined. Because the alternative, staying in the wreckage, trying to resurrect something that was never real to begin with, that's not survival. That's just another kind of prison. And I've had enough of those to last a lifetime.